So it's been a while. Don't worry about that. I'm back. Shout out to the girl on Roblox because I was playing Roblox yesterday with my boyfriend who looked up my username, which is ravioli.yt, as a joke. I'm not a YouTuber. She asked, like, is this you? And I was like, yes. And she was like, wow, did you give up? It's been a year. And I was like, because it does not feel like it's been a year. But anyways. Yeah. This is my dog. She wanted to say hi. Say hi, Sadie. She's very old. Let's just get into it. A trend that began to rise to popularity at the beginning of this decade that sticks with me to this day is the concept of liminal spaces. Pictures of old, forgotten spaces that once used to be bustling with activity, but are now empty. There is something so eerie about seeing something that should be full of life lacking that energy that it once held a lifetime ago. Liminal spaces have become more commonplace, even more so than ever before. Makes sense, because if you think of it, we're the first generation to ever have to deal with this. This emptiness is new. Our grandparents, the baby boomers, don't laugh, always had a third space to go to. Somewhere outside of work, home, or school to meet up with their friends, like a malt shop or a music festival. You can tell I got all of my knowledge of the 50s from movies, but whatever, I wasn't alive. Generation X had these third spaces too. The 80s was dominated by this idea of shopping malls, phone calls, and teen drama. These generations still had their glaring problems, don't get me wrong, same problems which I can boil down to a lack of sensitivity and cultural progress. I don't want to talk about it. Are often brought up when some innocent soul says, I was born in the wrong generation. But most of these people, I can hope that it's most of these people, few bad eggs exist. Anyways, most of these people are not talking about the resurgence of the so-called trad wife intolerance or insensitivity that was categorized with these bad times. And other things that, again, I don't want to talk about. Every generation wants to look back at their childhood fondly and say that they had it the best. That's all they knew, so of course they're gonna say that. When something is so far normalized, we don't really have the capacity to sit down and analyze it as something that really isn't normal. Generation Z, kids born between 1995 to 2012, have been reported in many studies to be the most depressed and anxious of all preceding generations. Why is this? Why can't we cope with life the way that other generations have? Other generations are calling us weak, sensitive, selfish, childish, unmanageable, but they forget where we came from. They forget what we grew up with, what we grew up without, and just how much we have watched the world shift in our formative years in a way that no generation ever has before or ever will again. This is the part of the video where I get into some stupid convoluted metaphor that I made up. Just roll with me for a minute, okay? I'm a neuroscience student, so I will use a broad example that explains addiction. If you read the title, you can obviously guess what I'm going to be talking about. Follow me for a moment as I strip this problem to its bare essentials and maybe you will start to see it in a different light. Here is the drug, the hypothetical drug. This is a over-the-counter heartburn medication, and I can show it on screen because it's not illegal or a prescription, and it makes a cool sound. Isn't that awesome? Anyways, this is just a visual. This drug came out in the early 2000s, and companies are saying that it can do everything for you. You're a kid, so of course you believe them. You start taking this pill. It brings you so much joy and happiness, quite literally lighting up the dull moments of your life. You don't really understand yet that the dull moments exist for a reason. You start to grow up with this pill, following the pharmaceutical company as they grow and improve the functions of this drug and the capabilities it can give you. In its absence, you slowly begin to realize that you can't function without it. If it's not in your sight or nearby, then you're incredibly anxious. It's become instinct just to have it on hand. You get a dopamine rush just simply from holding it because you can anticipate the relief and the calm that you'll feel as soon as this drug takes effect. So much of your life has been attributed to this, and so many of your friends do it to get through their days too. It went from a status symbol that everyone had to have to a lifeline that everyone needed. You know you should stop, but you're so depressed, you're so tired. The pill traps you within this cycle of misery and exhaustion, and on top of this, you're frozen in your chair because the pill hinders your abilities to focus, to be productive, and all just so you can avoid boredom. That's when your own thoughts slip in, and you don't like that. You try to stop. You get programs that'll help you quit, and every time you get close, you're suddenly pulled right back in, because it dictates every single conversation around you that you have, and all of the interests of the people around you too. As you have likely picked up on at this point, I'm obviously not talking about a drug. Everything in that little paragraph that I just read off is interchangeable with your phone. Generation Z is the last generation to remember a world without the widespread use of smartphones. Kids play outside less and less, but we remember a childhood where we were active, resourceful, and imaginative storytellers. But that didn't last that long. A key memory for most kids in our generation would be getting their first iPads, or for me, the iPod Touch Generation 4. Look at this thing. This is so much smaller than I ever could have remembered it being, but I have it right here. That's ridiculous. We always made jokes about the phones getting huge over time, but like, that is crazy. I wish I still had my iPhone 6 to compare, but I had to trade that in, unfortunately. I look back on this fondly, and back then it was a treat. Something to play on at restaurants or when you were just bored, as my Nintendo DS had been to me in years prior. I actually started writing the script for this in my iPhone Notes app, so I totally understand the hypocrisy in this statement, but this problem applies to me too. Like most of us that I've noticed, I'm not afraid to identify the problem, but I can't change. We can't change. When did our phones go from a fun and useful add-on to a problem?
2, 3, 4. You know what I'm waiting for. She shot me one time. She shot me 2 times. Bullshit.
Phones, iPhones, iPads, tablets, and computers have been an incredible advancement that in many ways we are privileged to have. Having a calculator, a search engine, the weather forecast, and a camera in our pockets at all times is something that I have appreciated, and I know a lot of you do too. But somewhere along the way, we lost the point. So let's just get rid of the phones then, right? It seems like the solution to our problem is clear. But who's gonna join you? Let's be real. Nobody. Okay, no one's gonna join you. Screw it. You'll be a trendsetter. You're gonna do it alone. Who needs phones anyway? All right, your phone is gone. How are you gonna communicate with all of these people that still do use their phones? You'll just get a flip phone. You can call them and they can call you back.
Many people who ditch their smartphone these days go with an old flip phone, now referred to as a dumb phone. But I got a flip phone to keep in contact with my parents when I was out riding bikes at 12 years old. So for the majority of my life, I've had a device in my pocket that makes me reachable at all times.
Maybe that's for some of you, but maybe others need a full disconnect. Maybe just get a landline?
Some friends are texters, some are callers. Friends that are texters have not really called my landline.
So if you don't have any close friends that are callers, no one's calling you. When you do call your friends, they're either too anxious to answer or they have a strong preference for text, and because they can't text you, they would never reach out first. The years spent alone glued to their chair looking at their phone has stunted them socially and made them perpetually anxious, so they have to hype themselves up just to hang out with you. And they really like you. It's not you. This is the Gen Z reality. This is becoming the Gen Alpha reality. I would assume. I don't know. I'm old, I guess. All right, you're still on this, so this is ridiculous, right? Why can't I just show up at their house and knock on the door? Unannounced like that? Absolutely not. They didn't have time to pick out an outfit that they deemed trendy or socially acceptable, and no matter what you say, their inner critic that social media built for them will make them agonize over every part of themselves.
So there is a TikTok going around from Vogue where they ask their staff whose 2023 Met Gala look is their favorite, and all anyone can focus on is the first employee's outfit. People are deeming it the micro trend final boss and stitching it, basically summarizing how ugly it is.
And what are you going to talk about when you do actually see your friend?
Like a lot of people my age, my smartphone has attached itself to nearly every aspect of my daily life.
If you drop your phone and they don't, they are now automatically consuming an entirely different base of content than you just simply because you chose not to use TikTok or Instagram. This is kind of true. When I was in high school, I didn't download TikTok. I didn't want to. I was content with my current social media experience, I guess, at the time, and Reels really wasn't a thing yet. It hadn't really taken off. Eventually, as we started to return to in-person school, I didn't know what anyone was talking about. I was totally lost. I I had TikTok, so like if you find me and you say, "You're lying, you posted," yeah, but I didn't like use it, so.
Hi. I'm here to play you a song. Chicken, hot dog and bologna.
My name's Arson. That's Bug. It doesn't really talk much. Say something, Bug.
Bug.
Again, like you need, I don't know, you need to consume the same things to have a conversation about said things. If you don't consume those things, then you are out of the loop, and that sucks. That's an awful feeling to have.
24 karat gold, la baby.
The Trisha Paytas baby reincarnation theory.
That is modern day. That is a modern day social example, and I'm comparing it to when I was a kid. We all watched cable television. One show that virtually everyone watched was iCarly.
4, 3, 2.
And the other was SpongeBob. Hopefully I just hit the majority of bases there. Every kid that was allowed to watch SpongeBob and wanted to watch SpongeBob loved SpongeBob.
Really?
New episodes would be playground conversation material for days, and we would each be so excited to hear the date and the time pop up on the TV. The commercial voice told us 7/8 Central.
The Summer Splash, today at 2/1 Central.
We had no idea what that meant, but we took a mental note of whichever one our parents said was our time. Then it spread through word of mouth. There's a new SpongeBob episode on Friday. 6 p.m. tonight, there's a new SpongeBob episode. There's a new iCarly episode. I don't believe personally that there will ever be a playground experience like this again, especially not for Generation Alpha and anyone that comes after them. Why? There's just too much content. The pool of relatability begins to dwindle between peers until the question, "Have you seen this?" is almost always met with a no. This relatability is something that I began to notice slipping away over the years since my youth, and it had become full-blown by the time the events of 2020 would occur. There's no way that this video is getting monetized because I project it to get like 10 views, but I'm just gonna play it safe and dance around that issue, the 2020 issue, throughout this video because you all know what I was talking about. This video script began as a way for me to vent about the feeling that I had that something was wrong with the world that had happened within my lifetime. It then morphed into a response to Eddy Burback's video, "I hate my phone, so I got rid of it."
In 2025, what does it look like for someone in their late 20s living in a major city to completely get rid of their cell phone? Well, I'm going to find that out because over the next month, I will be locking my phone in this safe and I will not be opening it. So, without further ado, let's find out together.
I loved this video. I want to say that right off the bat. It was groundbreaking, it was incredibly charming, and it was really refreshing to watch someone actually navigate their life without a phone, especially in a city. After watching this video, it actually left me with more reasons why this no phone experience wouldn't end up panning out for the rest of us.
About halfway through the month, I had mostly adapted to life without the phone, but I wondered how other people would adapt to me. I had sort of assumed when it came to others, the landline would be a fun novelty. People would give me a call or two within the first week and then just wait for me to get my phone back so we could go back to normal. But to my surprise, that hasn't been the case at all.
Hi, Eddie. It's Mom. Hey, Eddie. It's Jarvis. What a wonderful voicemail you got there. It's time to walk. Call me back. Eddie, we're on our way.
I finally made it there, and lo and behold, agreeing to meet at a place without 5 text updates still works just fine.
Eddie, you have incredible friends. This is not the norm. I'd also like to point out that Eddie is kind of on that cusp of millennial and Gen Z. So he's like 95, I believe. I would say that like the older you are, the more likely you would be to use a landline and to call. I know that this is not the case for many people. Just something else I'd like to point out because like while my generation might have like a little bit of a chance, like do you really expect a kid from Gen Alpha to pick up their home phone? Does anyone even have a home phone anymore? No. I think that this video is a great experience personally for Eddy Burback, but in the grand scheme of can this be applied to the greater world with modifications for each single person? As Eddie says, like there's a lot of things in this video that are unique to him. Eddie's friends and reaching out is not the norm. That is the whole point of that. You might be asking yourself, what is the norm? We're just gonna go through some stats because I'm a science kid. That makes the most sense to me to back up the points that I'm making. All right, you have heard of the male loneliness epidemic. It is all over TikTok, all over Reels, literally all over everywhere. But the truth is, everyone is lonely now. Daniel A. Cox with the American Survey Center writes, quote, "Despite renewed interest in the topic of friendship in popular culture and the news media, science suggests that the role of friends in the American social life is experiencing a pronounced decline. The May 2021 American Perspectives Survey finds that Americans report having fewer close friendships than they once did, talking to their friends less often and relying less on their friends for personal support." End quote. They also reported that statistically, young women were more likely to lose touch with friends than any other gender or age group in 2020. I was in that demographic during that time, and honestly, that's pretty true. Bottom line, people just aren't confiding in friends anymore, and this is backed up by a lot of data. It was also found that in recent years, young men and women are far more likely to reach out to a romantic or domestic partner or their parents if they need support. This data is consistent throughout every young adult category. The only difference is that the average American, so that's just the pool of whoever they sampled, relies less on their parents and even less on their friends, instead choosing their spouses or domestic partners. That is incredibly significant because over time it shows that people have stopped relying on their friends, whereas before they may have called their friend if they needed some advice. A lot of them rely on either their parents, if they're still with them, or their partner, if they have one. The Survey Center cites this as being due to the aforementioned halt of the US in 2020, but they also attribute it to the fact that Americans are getting married a lot later than the previous generations did. This is the really big one. Parents are spending statistically more time with their Generation Z children than previous generations ever did, which has begun to take a stronger precedence over the other relationships in their kids' life.
I told somebody today that my mom was my best friend, and they looked at me and they were like, "Your mom's your best friend?" And I'm like, bitch! First of all, you wish your mom was your best friend.
On top of this, many of us, even Generation Z, which have been deemed as poor workers, are picking up longer hours at work, saving money, and making outings with friends less of a priority because we just can't justify spending frivolous money, or breaking our diets, or not going home and working on our hobbies, or going home and scrolling on TikTok. Outings for a lot of people a lot of times can feel like you're giving something up. We just don't have time for friends anymore, and the current generation of young people never carved out a significant spot in their life to make that time. With my aforementioned 3/4 of a neuroscience degree, I can confidently tell you that this is going to prove detrimental to all of our futures. Regular social interactions not only help with the normal development of young brains, but also help foster new neural connections, which ultimately fights against dementia as we age. It's like going to the gym, but for our brains. Carolyn Bruckman from Harvard University says it best. Quote, "The way we spend our time, whom we invested in, and what we prioritize is shifting. Solitude is becoming more than a preference, it's becoming a default. And when not used well, the result of solitude isn't just fewer friendships, it's a fundamental loss of the ability to form and sustain them. If we don't consciously reshape our priorities and relearn how to cultivate meaningful relationships, we risk a future where connection, one of the most fundamental sources of happiness and well-being, fades into the background of our lives." End quote. When I read that for the first time, it was such a slap in the face. That's true. That is what we're going through. We prefer spending time alone, and we preferred it so much that it became our default. Back to Eddy Burback's video, other than what I've just mentioned, there are some obvious privileges here that I have not mentioned that would make this challenge a lot more accessible for Eddy. One major thing being that he lives in a walkable city with easy access to public transport. But he does address this himself.
Depending on where you are, who you are, and what age you are, I am not recommending that you also travel alone without your phone at night. Smartphones have offered a lot of safety to people who are by themselves, so just know that I wanted to do this, and unfortunately, it's a bit safer for me than for some of you.
Other than the social aspect, I do fully agree with Eddy's stance on this. Our self-esteem, personal relationships, and mental health are entirely connected to this arbitrary thing that the entire human race has deemed valuable, but it's really not.
Realizing that there are a bunch of small antisocial behaviors that I believed were becoming part of my personality, but is more so my relationship with a computer in my pocket that I'm addicted to.
These antisocial behaviors that we've created over the years are not entirely our faults. We were handed an escape, very young, a drug, if you will.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
That we were told would cure our boredom. And what is a kid other than bored? Ultimately, the side effects went too far. In the end, the older generations still got Generation Z wrong. We aren't weaker, and we sure aren't self-entitled either. I'm saying as a whole. If you know an individual, you probably do. It's hard to speak for an entire generation of people, I'm sorry. We are nonchalant.
Ooh, you excited to race?
Whatever. Yes.
Bruh.
Becoming chalant will genuinely change your life for the better. Like, being nonchalant will only lead you to just not enjoying the moment. Like, when you become chalant, your friends will call you up and be like, yo, you wanna go do embarrassing things in public and not care about it?
Like, yes?
This is a very stupid reference point, I am very aware of that, but I'd like to reference MasterChef Season 14, because I'm watching that with my boyfriend right now. The theme for teams is generations, so we have the baby boomers as a team, Generation X, millennials, and Gen Z, and they all go head to head to prove which generation can cook the best. In challenges, the representatives of Generation Z are often the most composed, laid-back, and creative minds in the entire season, having the ability to think quickly on their feet and keep their cool under stress. Time and time again, they prove their worth as formidable foes. They are on the same playing field as every other generation. With all this being said, I do find it interesting that a lot of the time when they do happen to slip up, make a tiny little mistake, or they try something new or creative that Gordon Ramsay and the other chefs haven't seen before, they're belittled for their use of social media, and here is one example of many.
Now we're going to taste the worst 3 dishes from the remaining generations. Gen Z. It looked like a dish we'd see on TikTok, but unfortunately, it tasted like one too. Please step forward. Fatima.
It does not feel good being bottom 3, and I'm really praying that the judges like my food because this is something that I've made before and I personally like it, so I hope that they give it a chance.
God forbid a girl find inspiration in the very thing that she and her entire generation do for more than 9 hours a day on average. And I'm not making that up, that is a real number. I put a source in the description if you want to check that out for yourself. That's more than a full-time job! Gen Z often has this nonchalant attitude not only because we're taught that this is the way to be in a world where everyone is afraid to be cringe, but also because we have seen some horrible crap on the internet. I wrote a different word, but I'm gonna try and keep it PG-13. Many of my peers in the past even took pride in the live leak level gore video content that they have seen online, whereas I would see something like that and I would probably think about it nonstop for a week straight. They've always seen something worse. I would try and play it cool, I'd be tough, and I would probably say the same thing. Maybe they were also thinking about this nonstop for a week straight and their whole I've seen worse was a kind of like way to cope with it. But we would never share the true depths of our soul with each other like that. We couldn't say how much being exposed to content like that hurt us. That's not cool. So we just brag about how messed up we are. It's like a contest. Really, we're just isolated. We cope with this wall that's been put up between us and genuine connection by trying to absorb every second of content put out by our favorite YouTubers. These are people who we've grown to love and trust. We feel that strong parasocial relationship with them, and at some points in our lives, that's all we had. That's why pulling up your favorite YouTuber from when you were a kid feels like reconnecting with an old friend. Because that's kind of what it is, to you.
Hello, this is Stampy, and welcome to a Minecraft Let's Play video. A video, guess where?
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and I am officially back. Yes! Yes! Yeah!
Good morning, you ladies, my name is Jacksepticeye, and welcome back! Hey everyone, Dan here from the Diamond Minecraft, and welcome to another Minecraft mod review, where today, me and Grim are out.
How's it going, bro? My name's Brody Pat.
To me too. I actually have a memory with this. When I was a kid, I used to watch iHas Cupquake. She was a gaming YouTuber. She played all the games I liked. I just really loved her personality, and she really felt like a friend because I would watch her Minecraft Oasis series every single morning. There was one line in her Draw My Life video from way back when that kind of broke that illusion for me, and it was her saying how much she appreciated us even though we may never meet. I had never even considered meeting her, but at that point I was like, whoa, that just put up a wall between me and you. Just, it feels uncomfortable when that wall is broken, right? You don't even think about it like that.
I'm not at all promoting
having a parasocial type of relationship with a creator and being like prioritizing them over real relationships in your life, etc., etc. But I'm just saying that, like,
in this era of isolation, which I've kind of grown up in, and a lot of you have too, these people really do start to feel like your friends, and when that wall is broken, it's earth-shattering. I also think that that's why every kid now has the dream of becoming an influencer. When we were kids, we'd look up to, like, astronauts and firefighters, and we'd see them in action, and we'd say, wow, I want to do that when I grow up. But, I mean, us and the younger generations, we grew up watching YouTubers, and then they'll grow up watching TikTokers. Heck, if you think about it, that's why I'm making this video. I'm chasing a long-forgotten dream from my own past, one that seemed so far away. And I would like more than anything to share a success story, to say I'm a YouTuber, but with the oversaturation of the platform, each and every child's dream of becoming a YouTuber seems even farther away.
Yeah, so, yeah, and they're, yeah, and
that's really depressing. I'm sorry. This was iPhone Notes app thoughts, so of course it's gonna be depressing. For many people too, this dream comes from the desire to connect, to be entertaining, to be loved by the masses. I'm gonna get into a couple of happy things. Happy. Yay! There are positives that have come from phone use and social media. We use it to talk to people that we never would have met otherwise. Dating apps exist and are connecting more people with their partners than ever before. Did you know that this has actually become the most common way for couples to meet in 2025? I was blown away by this. Look at this graph. This is crazy. Beyond that, artists are inspired by other artists, hobbyists can learn a new skill for free from their phone, the average person can get a healthy recipe to meal prep for the week off of TikTok, and so much more. A lot of people like to cite the decrease of the obesity epidemic in America to the rise of popular athletic trends like morning routines and gut healing smoothies and just general interest in fitness online. I can't argue with that because a lot of that content does inspire me sometimes. One of the positives of social media that I'm kind of afraid to talk about, but it had a huge impact on me, is online friends. Many kids in the age of isolation report forming strong friendships with other kids over the internet, which should be monitored. I always FaceTimed or got confirmation of who I was talking to when I was a kid, and I never ever spoke to anyone creepy. I knew all the signs. They would be like a weird text and I would immediately hit delete, leave, decline, go away. I was pretty aware of the way that people acted on the internet and the type of creepy behavior that could be out there even from a young age, so I was very wary of everybody that I talked to. I didn't talk to anybody unless I knew that they were the same age as me, and unless it was like a totally PG conversation about like a show we liked or like art. Just make sure you instill internet safety in your kids and whoever you're in charge of, like very early on in their lives. It's a very uncomfortable conversation, but safety comes first. If your kid does end up with unrestricted internet access, like a lot of us do, and even restricted internet access can become unrestricted, cross back to the YouTube Kids scandal, let them know how to be smart and safe. That's the end of that. Anyways, with that disclaimer aside, I can totally vouch for the benefit of kids making internet friends myself. An internet friend of mine, shout out to Christine, I was like 13 years old and she was young as well. She got me into writing poetry with her, which is something that I even do now as a great creative outlet, and it's been years now and I still write poems, and I had never written a single poem for fun before I talked to her. I have incredibly fond memories of my friends Ted and Sam, who I used to make art with and stories online. I still cheer you guys on from the sidelines to this day.
It makes me emotional. Shout out to like Jez and Casey, who I knew better as Tiff and Eric. I still think about you guys a lot. If I just mentioned you and you know that I'm talking about you.
Having people I could talk to so easily back in the day was how I made it through every day. While no one in real life shared my weird interests like cartoons or art, which is really not that weird, I don't know why I felt like such an outcast, I could talk to people that were just like me and realize that I wasn't so alone in the world. Knowing that someone values your presence in what you say, even if you were too shy to find that presence in real life, allows for that push to gain the confidence that you need to begin branching out for real. The internet and phone use is important to our social connections, especially in this phone era, which I have begun to dub the one where we went too far. Like a Friends episode, I'm sorry. While our reality is changing, we still find ways to connect with other people. Whether it be through a shared favorite YouTuber, talking about the latest TikTok drama, funny videos we send to our friends, or the release of a new product, as long as we keep the human part of us alive that yearns for meaningful relationships, I believe that it will be okay. Are we doomed? No. But the phones aren't going anywhere anytime soon. The key to moving forward is this. These clips from Eddy's video show the duality between the bright side and the dark side of smartphones. Our phones can make the world seem so much larger than it needs to be. We feel so much more left out seeing a friend hanging out with someone online because we begin to think, what's wrong with me? Why didn't they invite me too? But at the same time, you can use your phone to send your friend something funny that made you think of them. And that's connection. Sad, but that is our form of connection. While texting has made the world antisocial, there's benefits if you're the one who is too anxious to reach out. A phone call is terrifying, but a text? That's easy. While texting, as Burback correctly puts it, can sometimes feel like a chore, it's a glimmer of hope in this landscape of people lacking social skills. It's something that shows you're trying, something that can lead to you seeing your friend in person again. Texting is fake. I will be the first to admit that. I add about 20 extra letters to every word and 10 emojis to every text message I send just to guarantee that the recipient knows that I am sending them a positive text. But I wouldn't trade texting for the world. Sometimes, for a variety of reasons, it's impossible or it's incredibly hard to use your voice. And this is all down to the individual. Once again, some of you are probably outliers who say, I have no issues with phone calls. I have no issues getting on and talking to people. I literally do phone calls like over the summer for my job. Hi, I'm editing this right now. One quick thought I would like to add, if you're doing phone calls in a corporate setting, that is so incredibly different than calling a friend or someone who you really want to hang out with, because there is a difference in applied social pressure when you're calling a stranger and doing a service versus asking someone to hang out. You feel like because of this shift in societal priorities, you feel like you're asking the world of them when you're really not. I think the issue with phones and social media has become the quantity and the cover-up. Not everyone's life is picture perfect. Not even the influencers with your most desired body type or the people at college that constantly seem to be the life of the party. But we see too many videos in a row of everything that we wish we can be, but we aren't. It's a constant berating reminder in your face, in your head, that you could be better, that you're lazy, etc., 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 and you need to be doing more. But how could you do more? You're addicted to your phone, and you can't move. The truth is, even those influencers that you aspire to be like, they're not even perfect. They don't do that every day, or something is off about it, or they're not showing you something, or they're not showing you the mental ramifications of the things they're doing. We just gotta be more honest. Not seeing the reality of people's lives, or rather the mundane that we shut out so many years ago, can lead to things like further isolation, worsened depression, disordered eating, body image issues, and so much more. Fitness influencers on a more wide-scale basis need to start showing their struggles. A lot of people have shifted to more honest content, but the whole point is that people need to show that they struggle too, or else normal people will think that it's not okay to struggle. Sweeping the problems under the rug just makes the problems worse. Even if the rug is absolutely beautiful and you're hoping that no one notices. Why do you hope that no one notices? Don't you want to connect over your struggles? Find people who feel the same and help each other through it? People need to start showing their humanity online and in real life. Yes, there are certain things we should not be honest and real about, obviously. Medical issues or like something you just don't want to share with the world because you don't have to share anything. You don't have to share anything with the world. I'm not saying go out and overshare. Just be like a real person. Bring yourself back to like talking to a friend, because we haven't done that in a long time apparently. Just support each other, lift each other up. If you're both dealing with something, then be each other's support system. Hold each other accountable. In a perfect world, we would all just lift each other up and root for each other, root for the best versions of each other's lives. If you think about it, the true, real reason that we can't just ditch the phones right now is because of the way that they solve problems in every dystopian world movie that I've ever seen. By having a man on the inside. That's where me and you come in. Instead of putting the phone down, I invite you to do something harder. Take control of it. Help your friends take control of it. Help your family and your partners, whoever you care about, help them take control of their phones too. A lot of people will not be willing. A lot of people have been spreading awareness about this phone issue. Have you ever seen those like really scary, I think they're terrifying, the videos where it'll start like a normal video and then all of a sudden the screen will go black and it'll say you have a phone addiction. It catches you right in the act of doom scrolling and it says you need to stop. And I know that negative memories are stronger than positive ones, the pathways are just a lot stronger. You remember them a lot better a lot of the time. So having this disruption, like this wake-up call, you are addicted to your phone. You are addicted to doom scrolling. That's scary. That creates that memory and that sticks with you. If you are an influencer, start posting honest content. This whole video was about Eddy Burback's video, and his video was incredibly honest. He even talked about bird poop on his window for probably the majority of the video, but that's an honest thought. Right now, the computers and phones, they have power over us. In the future, we can begin to show how strong-willed we can be. Let's reintroduce spaces where we can socialize, focus on our strengths, and even when we're alone, live more in the moment without our thoughts being controlled by this tiny little arbitrary computer in our pocket. Let's once again reinvent the iPhone. Alright, hi! We've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. Eddy Burback, if you're watching this, I love your videos. You have been a huge inspiration in writing this script, so thank you so much. Thank you to my lovely subscribers who have been waiting on a video for a long time. As I said earlier, a year. Wow, my bad. I appreciate your patience, especially with me being a working college student. I take all of your feedback so incredibly seriously, and I hope you like this longer video. This was a topic that I discovered that I am incredibly passionate about. Obviously, I wrote that in the script, but I didn't even expect to go off on all of the rants that I did. I hope this video made sense. I've been filming this for 2 hours, believe it or not. I never would have delved into this topic if it weren't for you and needing a video to write and you guys asking for long form content. So I am doing my best to deliver. Every time I feel like giving up on this YouTube thing, I go back and read your comments and I instantly feel inspired again. So please know that I read every single one of your comments and they all mean the world to me. I made a joke earlier in this video that I don't make money off of these videos because I'm such a small YouTuber, and that's 100% true, but I could honestly care less if these videos ever profit at all. We talked about a lot of kids' dreams, just being a YouTuber and being an influencer, social media, a lot of that. And that, I mean, quite obviously was one of my dreams, has always been one of my dreams. I'd like to take the time at the end of this video to share a bucket list item of mine. Kind of a lofty dream, but I'd like to get a silver play button someday. I've seen them in the background of videos throughout my entire life. I've seen a lot of my favorite YouTubers get them. Like I said, people you feel like you have like this deep connection with, and that's literally all I want. I don't want anything further than that. If there was a bronze play button, I would want that. If there was anything lower than silver, I would go for that immediately. It sounds totally impossible, but I only need 99,373 more of you to see this video and hit subscribe. So basically, I'm 0.6 to 7% of the way there. If I can get up to 1,000 subscribers, which is only about 400 more, then I will be at 1%. I will be 1% of the way to getting a silver play button. I've accepted the fact that I will never be a true YouTuber for all of the reasons outlined earlier, but I've been making videos on here for over a decade now, and I feel like getting this award would also just impress little me more than anything.
Since it's almost Halloween, and I probably won't make a video in between now and Halloween, I thought I would get into the spoopy spirit. And this is legit all I have. So it's also fall, so that just kind of means like...
This was a real YouTube video that I posted on my first ever YouTube channel. Please, just subscribe for her. God, she, look at her. Thank you again, I really appreciate you. I love you, and I hope you have an amazing, beautiful, and realistically lovely day today. Go check out my other videos if you like nostalgia and kind of like early internet topics, because I really like those things too. Hopefully I'll see you again soon, but if our paths never cross again, just remember what this video is about. Go call a friend, take a social media break, and take care of yourself. Remember that while this video was a little bit cynical, you are so important and the world isn't doomed yet. We still have time to break this routine, and honestly, I've seen a lot of people begin to do it and recognize this problem, so we are headed in the right direction. I really appreciate you watching this ramble of a video. I'll just end this off by saying good luck and goodbye.
So that was me talking about absolutely nothing for a good chunk of your time. Goodbye.
Oh, before I end this, look what I just found. Holy crap.